I've had a great experience racing the ŠKODA Virtual Women's Tour so far. I never expected my first women's tour to be from my own living room, but so far it's been really good fun.
600 metres to go now. Dixon starts to put in some power, just starting to open a few metres.
It was great fun being up the road with Lolly, especially when we got the hang of working together.
Look at the power here, Joe.
Yeah, this is incredible. Over 400 watts we're seeing on the top left of the screen there. You could see the effort on both riders' faces.
We had a pre-race chat with my TIBCO Silicon Valley Bank team to go all in for the win and GC, and we pretty much executed our race tactics to perfection.
100 metres to go. It's going to be a win for the British rider Leah Dixon from TIBCO Silicon Valley Bank. Manages to distance her teammate, puts nearly 100 metres into her towards the line, but Leah Dixon crosses the line to take the stage. Impressive riding from the TIBCO team. Lauren Stevens crosses the line and takes second place.
I would absolutely love to finish the race with overall victory of the Women's Tour. It'll end a great race for the team, so we're really looking forward to tomorrow.
It looks like this. Leah Dixon takes over at the top ahead of her teammate Lauren Stevens. Lizzie Holden in third. Kristen Faulkner ahead of Lizzie Banks. Krista Dobell-Hickok, Eiley Gardner, Sarah Story. Danny Christmas drops to 9th and Katie Scott of Cams Tafosi in 10th place. Hello and welcome to the third and final stage of the ŠKODA V Women's Tour. What a race it has been. A great replay of yesterday's hilltop finish to Burton Dassett Country Park. And if virtual racing couldn't get any harder, Joanna Rousel, we're going to finish with a criterium around Canary Wharf.
Yes, yesterday was epic. It was a brutal stage, 3 times at that climb. And the first time we've really seen team strategy unfold in this virtual race. So brilliant event to watch, but completely different course today. So really intrigued how this is going to unfold, to be honest.
But it was quite interesting to hear what Leah Dixon was saying there about how they managed to work out within the game, how to actually work together.
Yeah, I think for a lot of riders it's quite a steep learning curve. They will have been preparing to race on the road this summer, and obviously all change across the globe, but some quick learning in the first 2 stages of this race and some brilliant tactics yesterday.
So without further ado, let's go over and hear from the TIBCO family, all getting ready for today's stage. I'm going to come to Leah Dixon first. Leah, great stage victory yesterday. You are now the leader of the ŠKODA V Women's Tour. How are you feeling going into a criterium stage?
Yeah, I'm really pleased to be leading the stage. Yesterday was a great race for us, but obviously today is a completely different course, a different style of racing, but really excited to get stuck in and hopefully defend the jersey for the team.
Hello, Lauren. Brilliant riding yesterday by you and your team. It looked brutally hard. How are the legs feeling today, and how have you been recovering overnight?
Yeah, I'm feeling much better than I expected this morning. It's only 12 o'clock, well, 1 o'clock here in the afternoon.
Oh, brilliant. So are you going to have similar tactics today to be attacking, or is it going to be more defensive?
We're looking to keep the jersey and hoping for the win also.
Excellent, thank you.
Kristen, I'm going to come to you. Just narrowly missing out on a clean sweep of the podium yesterday. You must have been watching Lizzie Holden coming up that final climb to try and take that one. But it was a great team ride, wasn't it?
Oh, it was absolutely wonderful. Watching my teammates go and make the break and hold it was really inspiring for me. And I think now, that we didn't sweep the podium, I have a little bit to go after today. So really excited for the race ahead.
Well, we wish you all the best today. It's a very US kind of criterion today, so good luck.
Thank you.
Hi, Rachel. You obviously had a fantastic day yesterday with the team. How have you kept the girls motivated going to this stage? Completely different course. So is it going to be different tactics or similar?
It's a very different course, and keeping them motivated is not hard at all. I mean, the Women's Tour is a huge race, and the virtual version of it is one of the biggest races that we've done yet. So they're all really motivated and fired up for another good day today.
Excellent. So hopefully you're buzzing, and wishing you lots of luck for the race this evening.
Great, thanks,
Thank you,
Rachel. We're going to go down to the start line, and you can see the Tibco Silicon Valley Bank team. So Leah Dixon, Lauren Stevens, Kristen Faulkner. What a great ride they have done. There's your start line. So you're watching out for Leah Dixon there in our virtual ŠKODA V Women's Tour leaders jersey. That green jersey with the black on that is you're going to be watching out for that within the race today. She's going to have to be super vigilant, isn't she, Joe? Because it's about a 22-second gap to her teammate. Everyone's in the pain caves getting going here. But as we saw yesterday, anything can happen when you get out onto the virtual roads.
Yes, exactly. The racing has been extremely tough, a steep learning curve for a lot of the riders. Relatively small time gaps after the first two stages. Lizzie Holden riding particularly well yesterday. So I'm thinking she's going to have her work cut out today, but really try and take that lead as well.
And in terms of, I'm thinking today that the Canary Wharf circuit, it's got 4 corners, it's 1 kilometre. It could suit a lot of the Americans.
Yes, so I guess it's a bit of an American style crit where we see probably slightly wider roads, slightly faster corners, but the real road software from RGT should be sort of really representative of what that will be like in real life. So you won't be able to keep putting the power down, or it won't register as you go through those corners. So it'll be quite an interesting experience for a lot of the riders, but hopefully a very realistic crit experience, or as realistic as you can get on a turbo trainer.
Yeah, it's been pretty brutal so far. We're going to go and catch up with some of our riders today. I'm going to jump in straight away with Louise Gibson from the ŠKODA DSI Academy. Louise, take us through. I've been keeping track of you on social media. You were saying yesterday, getting on the pain train. How are you feeling so far and looking ahead to today's stage?
Very exciting. It's a seriously new experience for me, so it's amazing to have this opportunity. It's just been full gas the whole time, so I'm just going to shoot out, see how long I can hang on for and enjoy it.
Well, good luck. We wish you all the best tonight.
Thank you.
Hi Sarah, you've been riding brilliantly so far this race. It's been excellent to see. It's been brutal though. How are the legs feeling now, and how are you managing to recover after these late, intense races?
Well, the legs are pretty good actually. I think I'm quite used to not getting recovery massage, and being quite busy. So yeah, I'm feeling good. I think being able to sort of work from home means that you've got all your home comforts, you've got your own loo, got your own bed. So yeah, it's been great. I'm looking forward to tonight.
Excellent. Good luck this evening. Good luck to your team.
I'm going to go over to Britt Carnarvon from Team Next G. I'll get that right tonight. Apologies to the team. Britt, you've got everyone together. You're the whole team racing together tonight. You've got a fan club there as well. Lucy, you're a former Tour Series winner. This has got to be your kind of night tonight.
Yeah, I mean, normally on the road, this would definitely be my type of course. So, yeah, I'm curious to see how it'll go today. It's more flat, so I hope that I can be up there. And, yeah, we'll see if I can contest the sprint or not.
All the best tonight. Right, we'll let you concentrate on the start. We are just 20 seconds away from the start of stage 3 here of the ŠKODA V Women's Tour. Thanks for joining us. 35 laps of a 1 kilometre circuit. The general classification, Leah Dixon sitting at the top ahead of her teammate with Lizzie Holden in third. The countdown is starting. Watch the start. Away we go. You can see everyone getting straight into it. Joe, this is going to be quite interesting from a bunch perspective. 1 kilometre circuit. There's going to be sprints out at every single corner.
Yes, I'm really intrigued how the software will make this work and make this realistic like a crit. So normally in a crit, it's easier, far easier when you're up towards the front of the bunch because you have to sprint so hard out of those corners to stay with the riders in front. You're better off being towards the front of the group, carrying your speed round the corners and not having to accelerate quite so hard out of each turn. So it'll be interesting how the smart trainers react to that and how the riders are able to sort of apply power around this course. Pretty much a pan flat course, just a couple of meters climbing per lap, so very little in the way of hills, but probably quite a lot of repeated accelerations and repeated intervals for these riders tonight.
Danny Christmas, winner of stage 1, getting up there. Great to see Alicia Maria Arzuffi, the Italian cyclocross star. Alicia Maria Arzuffi, she rides for the Vizcaya Durango team during the season on the road. You can see her in that pink and blue jersey. Joe Tindley from Cams Tifosi getting up there. Joe Tindley is a great criterium rider. She was up there second last year from memory at the Birkenhead Tour Series event behind now teammate Rebecca Durrell. Joe Tindley, this could suit her. Again, you can see the American flags getting up there, those rally cycling jerseys, those orange jerseys coming up towards the front. Heidi Franz getting up there is Leanne Ganzer had a bit of a mechanical on the start line yesterday, so making sure that they get through to the front. Our overall leader, Leah Dixon, is making sure that she keeps herself up towards the front and she hits the front of this group. So quite clearly we can see, Joe, that again yesterday I think riders were saying afterwards you've got to watch the splits, and I think it almost looked like Danny Christmas got caught on the wrong side of a split yesterday. So Team Tibco, Leah Dixon got to be super vigilant. They've got to watch out those names. Lizzie Holden, who sits in third place at 23 seconds, because you'd look at the end of a stage race normally and you think 20 odd seconds, no one's going to close that on our criterion, but this is such an unknown quantity, isn't it, on a virtual crit?
Yes, exactly. Very much an unknown quantity. And I think also the difficulty when you're racing virtually, depending on the sort of size screen you're looking at, you might be squinting down at a sort of a small tablet or even a phone and trying to see where you are in the virtual peloton. And you might think you're on a wheel only to then find that those wheels are out the back of the group. So it could be incredibly difficult to stay as vigilant as you need to be without the sort of usual flow of the sort of ebbs and flows of a bunch that you would get in real life. And we're already seeing gaps opening up here. We're already seeing some big watts per kilo on the left of the screen, so the riders riding very hard from the start again. We've seen this in the first two stages, full gas from the off, a very intense, less than an hour's worth of racing. So a lot of riders will have learnt a lot very quickly in the first 2 days and hopefully able to adapt today.
So Lizzie Banks is up there. Megan Dickerson from the ŠKODA DSI Academy. She's had a phenomenal week, has Meg Dickerson, over the last 3 days. And again, unlike a lot of other riders in this race, someone like Meg, who's riding for that development academy, also works full time as well. Corinne Hall just out of the saddle there. Lizzie Holden moving up. Taylor Wiles is also there. I think looks like potentially here, just getting a message, looks like Dame Sarah Story might have had a virtual mechanical on the start line, which is a big shame for her. They're trying to chase to get back in here. Here's some of our chasing groups that are just getting clipped off the back there. So Katie Scott, we're seeing that Mike Kruger now comes up towards the front of the group for High Tech Product. Mike is she is a phenomenal talent, a great track rider, Joe, great time trialist as well. The sort of power monster that you've phrase that you've coined this week. This is absolutely right up Mike Kruger's street, this one.
Yeah, definitely. So Mika Kruger, probably best known as a time trialist, but definitely over the last couple of seasons, really establishing herself well in road races and as a serious GC contender in stage races. So it'll be interesting to see what she can do on this course. Again, very different to the first two stages, so this could completely shake up the GC once again.
And I think this is what has been the beauty this week, is seeing our riders working, because we've got in the game, you can see them working within that, but it doesn't quite paint the picture, does it, of just what sort of effort they're having to make. Eiley Gardner on the left, you picture in the red and yellow there of Cams Tifosi, Lizzie Banks on the right, and I think Joe, each time we've gone back and sort of seen a rider's webcam, and it's been really good to be able to compare their data on the screen to their little avatar within the game, to how they're sitting and how they're looking on the turbo trainer.
Yeah, definitely. You can tell a huge amount by how hard a rider is working, by not just their facial expression, but sort of how steady they are on their bike, whether they're core strong, whether they're sort of rocking about or not. And that's something the other riders in the race obviously can't see. They can't interpret that body language from their competitors, but we're lucky enough to see a few glimpses on our screens of how hard everybody is working, and it is very telling. I think Kristin Faulkner yesterday of Team Tibco, who we're just seeing on the front at the moment, I thought she looked very, very in control. She was in that chasing group, didn't really seem to be too stressed there, which I thought was very impressive.
Just getting a shot there, Laura van Regenmortel from the Bela Crush Pro Cycling team. Great story that she's got. She and anyone that's watching that thinks, do you know what, I'm going to get into bike racing and I want to have a go, whatever age you are. And I was watching an interview with Laura, and she said the first race that she rode when she was a youngster, she went out, she's on a mountain bike with mud guards and a luggage rack, she called it, on there as well. She went out on her first race and won her first race that she ever competed in as a youngster. And I think that's what you've got to kind of take away and get it as if you want to get into bike racing, isn't it, Joe? That it doesn't matter what bike you've got, you just got to get in there, get that confidence, and get out there and race.
Yeah, just get stuck in. So experience is brilliant. Try all different types of cycling. My first ever bike race was actually a BMX race. I haven't been back to the BMX track to compete again. It definitely wasn't my forte. But yeah, BMX race was my first ever event. I've raced mountain bike, I've raced cyclocross, I've raced road racing, time trialling, and then track was my main discipline at the Olympics. But I think I've even tried some cycle speedway, to be perfectly honest. So different disciplines, try out anything, and yeah, just get stuck in and just enjoy riding your bike. You develop so many skills by just being out there in bike races, whatever kind of races they are.
Amelia Sharp hits the front, 30.6 kilometres go. Already you can see we've covered, coming up on 6 kilometres, 29 metres that we've climbed so far. Laura van Regenmortel come through. Meg Dickerson really holding strong at the front. Marissa Bax, Britt Kanavan from Next G, she's having a great start. Katie Hall, the American, we're also seeing her name pop up there as well. Lizzie Holden hasn't got the full support crew with her tonight. Lizzie Holden, apparently she was at Ashley Moorman-Pathio's house last night. That's why they had the full support crew. So hopefully that doesn't affect her too much. Leah Dixon, though, Joe, is having a great start. Very, very much to the front of this race.
Yeah, I think that's going to be key on this sort of circuit, to keep herself up the front, keep herself out of trouble. We've got her teammate there on the front as well, Kristin Faulkner of Team Tibco. So the team are riding really well. They've obviously got Rachel Hederman as their DS, who's extremely experienced, will know all about how to ride a good crit. And I think the same as in real life, positioning is going to be key, not getting caught out, not getting caught behind riders who might be getting dropped. And probably initially, they're probably going to be riding a little bit defensively and seeing how it unfolds on this course, because it is quite an unknown to a lot of riders riding a virtual crit. But already looking at this bunch, it does already look vastly thinned, and we could just see Danny Christmas, their 26th place currently in this group, just trying to move her way past a couple of riders, get in contact with the back of this main group at the front now.
So as we said at the top of our show, if virtual racing couldn't get any tougher, we're finishing with a virtual criterium around the streets of Canary Wharf. So if you're out there Friday night, normally Canary Wharf on a Friday night would be a buzz of activity, everyone pouring out of the offices into the wine bars and everything around London. So if you're there and you're watching us, you're tuning in, pour yourself a gin and tonic and enjoy the racing along the sides of the track here. Turn to Bicus, Katie Hall, Taylor Wiles. As I said a little bit earlier on, the criteriums that they have in America, Joe, are very similar to the roads. Normally are about twice as wide on a lot of them, but clearly from the off here, this is definitely suiting the Americans, and it's great to see a climber like Katie Hall getting up here.
Yeah, definitely. So I've never actually raced in America myself, but it's somewhere that I always wanted to go. I heard a lot of good things about it, a lot of stage racing and a lot of crits. So these riders should sort of be well suited to this race. Contrast that to Europe, where we see a lot of very narrow roads, a lot of street furniture, very, very technical racing. So can be very difficult. Having said that, I've ridden some crits in Holland that are absolutely full gas, like any other crit, yet they're 60 kilometres long. So pretty much an hour and a half of full gas racing. So a lot of these riders will be well accustomed to this sort of really intense, relatively short races with a lot of accelerating out of the corners.
Great to see a shot there of Marissa Bax, my apologies. She raced very well on the opening date for Bela Krush, and talented rider, just 21 from the Netherlands. As Joe said, the Dutch criteriums are a tough affair. Had a great season last year, did Marissa. Took the Scandis GP up in Uppsala in Sweden. This group's very much thinning out here. We're still seeing those Cams Tifosi jerseys that are in there. We're looking out for our young rider, Eiley Gardner, who sits in 5th overall at 46 seconds. But Danny Christmas from Lotto Sudal comes through, makes a little move, immediately answered by the next G jerseys. Britt Carnarvon comes up. So he's couldn't quite hear her in her interview, which was a bit of a shame. But they're all together this evening. The team racing. They've got their support network as well. So we are just coming up on 7 kilometres covered, inside 30 kilometres to go. We're going to check in with Rally's Director Sportif, Zach Bell. Welcome, Zach. Thanks for joining us. I was just saying a little bit earlier on, that this sort of criterium, even though it's a virtual one, would very much suit the American riders. It's quite similar to the crits you have over there.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, it's going to be a lot of punchy efforts, like you guys were mentioning, and I think it's a nice change for us coming to the platform to have something that might feel a little more familiar, for sure, what a lot of the riders kind of came up on, for sure.
What's your feeling been so far of the virtual tour? Do you think this style of racing is essential at the moment for keeping our community together? But do you think this style of racing could be here to stay?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's essential to the sport that we continue to engage different people, and I think this kind of platform really allows people who may not feel as comfortable in on-road situations right away to really build a community and get excited about the crossover from our teams and the other venues in the sport. So I'm really glad that this positive has kind of come out of the situation that we're in, and our team is definitely learning the platform as quickly as we can so that we can have an impact.
And we can see how intense it is here. How have the riders been feeling post-stage, especially Dame Sarah Story was saying at the top of our program, not being able to get a massage and having to deal with that recovery at home, whereas normally they'd have the full support of the team to help them recover afterwards.
Yeah, I mean, I think for our team in particular, we've been in a not bad situation because the start times and things for us in North America are quite reasonable. So a lot of our riders have actually been able to use this as a start to their training in the day, and then tag on the other activities that they need, whether it be additional time on the bike or those recovery activities you're alluding to. So, but that's the one thing about this platform that's difficult is everybody is in different time zones, and you're really dealing with different sets of variables. So that's something everybody's learning, I think.
Great, thanks, Zach. We'll try and check in with you a little bit later on. Zach Bell there, the Director Sportif of Rally Cycling. Anna Doherty has got herself up towards the front. Emily Meakin, Jip van den Bos from Bull Dolmans. Good to see Jip getting up there. Krista Dobell-Hickok from the Rally Cycling team is also in the towards the front of the group. Lucy Gadd from Story Racing. We saw her on our pictures moments ago. as the riders in those green jerseys. We're going to check in with Adam Blythe, Megan Dickerson. We can see on the left. Adam, thanks for joining us. You've got to be super happy with the way the team has been riding this week. Megan Dickerson, Rebecca Richards have been up there really fighting it out for these stages.
Yeah, I think they've all done fantastically. I think the main thing for all of them is just have confidence when they go back into racing. When they get on the road again, they'll have more of a feel for how good these girls can really do. So for me, it's just to get a good measure for them and to have confidence in themselves going into the next racing. And of course, they've all done so brilliantly as well this week. It's been great to see.
And as a director sportive, how much advice have you been able to give them going into especially something like this? I mean, you were a great bunch sprinter. You're only recently out of the peloton. What sort of advice and tactics are you being able to pass on to them?
It's very difficult, I think, in these situations. I think the main thing is just to not kill yourself too soon. I think stay within your limits, never go into the red until it's the final 2 minutes of the race. But apart from that, just try and stay relaxed as you can and don't do something silly almost. I know it sounds very easy to do, but we can see Meg on the front now. We just told her, just follow the wheels today and, see how it goes in the final there. But I think the only advice you can really give them is just ride within yourself and don't worry about what others are doing too much.
Okay, thanks for joining us. We'll dive back into the racing. So we've got a bit of a group forming now. It's thinning out even more. Leah Dixon is on the front. Lauren Stevens is up there. It just clicks through quite quickly, so we'll get a good idea of everyone in this leading group. Megan Barker, Marissa Bax is also in there. Lizzie Holden, we can see who's in there. Just over 12 kilometres of racing covered. We've got 23.8 kilometres to go. Britt Carnarvon is also in this front group as we go through the tunnel. Joe, this is really looking tough at the front now.
Yeah, I think we've probably got about half the number of riders in this group what we started with, maybe even less than that. Seeing Emily Meakin on the front at the moment for the Drops team. So she's a new signing to the Drops squad for 2020. So it's nice to see her being able to make her mark on this race. Probably best known for being a really strong time trialist. So another one of the power monsters we've been talking about that will be looking to get stuck in on this sort of stage.
Definitely. There's the Tibco jersey. There's Lizzie Holden in the pink and light blue colours. Still working in this group. Anna Doherty is the 10th rider. Lucy Gadd is still in here for Story Racing. Emma Narsgaard Jorgensen is another rider that we could talk from Bigla Katusha. Fast sprinter is Emma Narsgaard Jorgensen. Joe, she's still sitting in 10th overall as well.
Yeah, she's someone that I've sort of highlighted as a potential for today's stage. I've got a few people highlighted, to be perfectly honest, but she's a name that I did sort of think perhaps we could see something interesting from her at the finish here. Has already had a win to her name down at the Valencia Tour earlier this year, so a good start to the season, but obviously part of a very strong Bigla Katusha team as well. And I know Lizzie Banks has got her eyes on trying to get herself on the podium, so we'll see what they can do between the two of them.
Going to be interesting. There's your Lotto Soudal jerseys. Megan Barker is another rider that we can watch out for in this group. So the Great Britain jersey, the Great Britain national team jersey, and Megan's another rider, Joe, who really excels, you would say, in the Tour Series, which is the criterium race. We've used Canary Wharf in the past, but she won a couple of rounds of Redditch and Motherwell a couple of years ago. She's a phenomenal track rider, isn't she, Megan? So it's good to see her getting in on the mix today.
Yeah, definitely. So most of these young British riders have sort of grown up on a diet of crit racing, of town centre racing, so very well accustomed to these sort of efforts. And also, like you say, really strong track rider, part of the GB setup, training for Team Pursuit, Madison, Omnium, all those Olympic events. Younger sister of Eleanor Barker, of course, my teammate from Rio. So Meg will be sort of really trying to break into that team. And these short events with these sort of repeated accelerations are really quite similar to the sort of efforts you'll be doing on the track. So yeah, looking forward to seeing how she can fare in the finish of this race.
So with Emily Meakin on the front of the peloton, we're going to check in with Frankie Hall, the director sportif from Drops. Frankie, thanks for joining us. We were just talking about Emily. She's had a phenomenal race so far. How's the team been overall?
Yeah, it's been really good, and it's been really good to see both April and Emily in this, because they've both had some really bad injuries that kind of ruined the beginning of their season. Emily had a broken collarbone and April had a really nasty broken knee, so they've been really contained to the turbo for the most part of the season. And as we know, Joss is just an absolute powerhouse, so the three of them together, they're really absolutely smashing it. And having never raced virtually before, they're doing really well, and hopefully I think they're enjoying it as well, although their faces at the moment don't say so much.
And in terms of this virtual racing, is it helping them get their heads around getting back into racing as the world comes out of lockdown and we start to see the emergence of the program? Is it helping them get their head back in the game a little bit?
Yeah, for sure. It's there's obviously been a huge gap and a definite uncertainty with if and when racing is going to return this season. And I mean, there's the beginnings of a program coming together, but we still don't know what's going to happen. So this is tiding them over. They're three very, as with the rest of the team as well, very motivated athletes. So they'd get on with training regardless of when they're going to be able to race again. But this is definitely getting them more motivated and keeping that excitement there during the middle of the season.
Well, thanks for joining us. We'll let you get back to directing the team. The race really hotting up here. Lucy Gadd is on the front here. So this leading group still in there. We can see so April Tacey comes through. Megan Dickerson from the ŠKODA Academy through towards the front. Joe Tindley is a couple of 100 meters down there. We're just seeing a few other riders on the group. April Tacey, those orange rally jerseys up towards the front. We're almost 15 kilometres into the race. If you're just joining us, welcome aboard the third and final stage of the ŠKODA V Women's Tour this evening from Canary Wharf in London. You can see racing around the streets of London in a virtual criterium. Britt Carnarvon from NextG, Danny Christmas, the winner of stage one. She lost that leader's jersey to Leah Dixon yesterday. Could she top and tail this race, Joe, with two stage victories?
It's interesting you mentioned Danny Christmas, because I've been watching on the graphics on the side and her name keeps being up there, keeps being in that sort of top four riders. She's been keeping herself well at the front of this group. I think she had some small problems yesterday, but rode really well for the second half of that stage to minimise her losses. And we know how motivated she is. She was absolutely buzzing after that victory on stage one. And I think what's been really key for any of the racing at the moment virtually is how motivated these riders are. It's been such a strange season. Everything's been thrown up in the air globally, but it's these riders that have been able to maintain focus, to embrace that pain cave and to sort of really enjoy their turbo training. And Danny Christmas has really sort of come across to me as a rider that has embraced that and is really keen to impress. Potential for today, but like I say, I've got quite a few names highlighted here.
Lucy Bandahar, another one. We saw her name just from that overhead shot as well. Joe, just as we get into the race here, as we take this left-hand corner, anyone that's been tuning in over the course of the last 3 days that's super motivated now, that wants to get into bike racing, whether it's virtually here on one of the platforms or actually once racing starts again, or just start enjoying riding the bike, three simple bits of advice to anyone that wants to improve their riding. What's the best 3 bits they could do?
Yeah, I'd say first of all, look for a cycling club to join. I know some club activities are able to start up soonish, I think. I won't quote on the exact dates and the exact sort of numbers riders can get together, but first of all, look up a club. Look up safe routes in your area. I just use really quite easily on Google Maps, there's a cycling layer you can put on which will highlight the either cycle paths or quieter roads for cycling on in your area. So that's a really sort of easy way to find good cycling routes. And like I said before, try out different types of cycling. When I first started cycling, I didn't really know much about road racing or track cycling, and I sort of always envisaged I'd do mountain biking. Turned out that really wasn't my forte whatsoever. So very glad I tried different cycling disciplines.
Let's run you through some of our riders at the front. So it changes, as you can see quite quickly. Lauren Dixon is up towards the front. Jip van den Bos, Britt Carnarvon's still in there. Chris Newton is joining us, the director sportif of the Great Britain team. Chris, it looks like we could see Megan Barker that's in this front group. How have the team coped with the 3 days of the virtual tour?
They've coped really well. Obviously, you know, in this situation, the racing they've looked forward to. They've carried on training, so they've looked forward to this, and I think they've adapted pretty well. And as yourself and Joanna have said, you know, adapting to this platform of racing and the styles. You know, Meg was on the phone last night saying she was sat behind someone that got dropped and she couldn't get round. So it's learning the tips and the tricks and the tactics, very much like just being out on the road, really.
And does it help with the for the Great Britain riders? Does the track background help in this sort of racing?
Well, I think it just complements the turbo training element of you know, the preparation that we do anyway. And again, as Joe pointed out, it's quite an integral part of our kind of preparation for track, so it does complement it. And you know, this kind of format does just raise the interest even more and gives a little bit more meaning to the sessions.
Well, thanks for joining us. We look forward to seeing how the team do at the finish. Chris Newton there, the director sportif of the Great Britain national team. Our ŠKODA Vitor women's jersey is still very much the front. That light green, white and black jersey you can see there of Leah Dixon, really holding her position strongly towards the front. Noticeable, Joe, as well, is the other three Cams Tifosi jerseys in this group of Joe Tinley, Eiley Gardner and Katie Scott.
Yeah, so quite easy to pick out the sort of yellow and red of the Cams Tifosi jersey. I'm actually wondering at the moment, looking at this group, whether we've got some lapped riders in here. It's actually a little bit hard to tell, but we are having some riders on the left of the screen showing as plus 2 kilometres, so that could be a case that we have a couple of lapped riders in here.
Yeah, well, this happens in criteriums, doesn't it? When riders get lapped and sometimes try and hide out in the group and pretend you haven't been lapped.
Yeah, ever so tempting to do. And of course, in a real life crit as well, you can normally have a lap out if you have a mechanical or a puncture or something. But I don't think that's really going to be the case virtually today.
No, virtual laps out. And so welcome the Krista Dobell Hickok, the rally team. So this leading group really is looking quite a select number of riders. Britt Carnarvon, who we spoke to before, her teammate Roos Amelaan is also there. He's up there. The two next G riders are on the front. So the Dutch riders, Jip van den Bos from Bull Dolman, super talented rider is Jip van den Bos. Lauren Stevens, the American flags, are great to see the different nations. Britt Carnarvon, the Belgian rider, who's got to have designs on the Paris-Roubaix Classic, the inaugural women's Paris-Roubaix at the end of the season. Her dad, of course, won Paris-Roubaix. That's always been her ambition, to take that race. Now she's going to get her opportunity. She's won the youth version of that, so a super talented young rider, flying the flag here for Belgium as riders chase to get onto the back of the group and stay with them. Still Team Tibco though, Joe. They look very much in control of this. They really have adapted well to riding as a team within the virtual racing.
They have, and I think yesterday was the first time that we really saw that sort of team strategy pay off perfectly, really. First, second and fourth on the stage, which was hugely impressive. But just seeing Leah Dixon on the screen at the moment, and she's been riding superbly, always staying at the head of this group, and we keep seeing the other names from the Tibco team also sort of towards the front of this group, so keeping themselves safe, keeping themselves out of trouble up there.
They are indeed. Anna Doherty also in there as well. So the jerseys moving through on these corners, swinging left. Great to see so many riders. You can see how hard Britt Carnarvon is having to work here as our overall leader, our general classification leader, Leah Dixon. comes through towards the front. If you weren't with us at the top of the show, it's 22, just around 22 seconds is the gap on the general classification between Leah Dixon and Kristen Faulkner on the GC. It's 23 seconds back to third placed rider Lizzie Holden. Then going into the stage, Lizzie Banks was fourth at 24. Eiley Gardner was fifth at 46. Dame Sarah Story was sixth at 48. Danny Christmas seventh at 55. Katie Scott was eighth at 157. Corinne Hall ninth at 201, and Emma Norsgaard was 10th at 231. So that was the way the general classification was looking going into today's stage.
Yeah, so except for right at the top, not really any huge gaps there. I think it's going to be quite difficult to make much of a difference in this race. We're now over halfway through, 22 kilometres covered, and we've seen the bunch thin massively. So a lot of riders have got dropped here, but no real big attempts to get away at the moment.
Roos Hogeboom is also in this group from Bila Crush. It's just pretty relentless at the front. Again, as our ŠKODA leaders jersey of Leah Dixon moving through. Marissa Bax up there. Great to see the Bull Dolmans jerseys. Ava Bjurman is another rider that's in there. So the Bull Dolmans jerseys just popping up. There's our overall leader, Leah Dixon, and really enjoyed her stage victory yesterday. Did Leah Dixon. So riding well here, and you can see the effort of these riders. When we go to their webcams, I think we're pushing some of the technology to the limit and really pushing each rider's Wi-Fi to the limit in terms of them all having their cameras on to be able to see how hard they're working throughout this stage. So 12.8 kilometers to go. We've covered 23.5 kilometers so far. Again, just starting to lap a few groups here as they go through, but Leah Dixon makes an effort on the front, comes through, makes a little bit of an attack. Marissa Bax, watch out for her, great sprinter is Marissa Bax. Kristen Faulkner just answers the call on the front of the group. It's just a pretty relentless pace, isn't it, Joe? On a crit circuit such as this, a criterium circuit of a kilometre, when it's flat like this is the way that the racing can play out when you're out there racing through these streets for real, that the pace is so high no one can get away.
Yeah, definitely. So when I race a crit, I'd normally try and focus on getting myself as near to the front as possible on the start line, and then just staying there as much as I can. And you'll find the bunch will just keep splitting behind you, and riders will keep going out the back as the pace is just so hard. Seeing Leah Dixon here in that ŠKODA leaders jersey, she's consistently been towards the front of this group and looking good. When we saw the shot of her on the screen, she was obviously working hard, but didn't look like she was completely in the red. So very, very impressed with Leah Dixon this week.
Great ride. I think we're going to catch up with Ina Teutenberg from Trek Segafredo. You've got Taylor Wiles on the left of our picture. Ina, thanks for joining us from Trek Segafredo. How have the team been reacting to the virtual women's tour?
I think it's been a pretty big learning experience. None of these girls have ever done virtual racing, so I think we had a lot of technical issues and all that stuff, and trying to figure it out. And I think we for sure have to learn a little bit more to be competitive in virtual racing.
Do you think as a platform, though, I mean, it's a great way of, we've seen it throughout the last few months around the world, it's been a great way for teams to connect with their fans, for riders to ride along with the pros. From a racing point of view, it looks like it's kind of starting to establish itself, would you say?
I'm probably the wrong person to ask you there. I mean, I think it's great for people to connect and do stuff and get challenged by others. But I don't know, I'm an outside person. So for me, it's really hard to comprehend on this whole online inside training ride when the sun is shining outside.
And for Trek Segafredo, we're starting to see the makings and the formation of the race program going forward. Are the riders, are they motivated? Are they ready to race once we get things going again on the road?
Yeah, I think so. I think there was, at the start there was the insecurity, and then, nobody knew where the end is, and then, people went through phases of like being really motivated, then going down and all that. But I think now that there's like a date and everything, so the girls have finally like a date where they need to be ready, where they need to focus, have the weeks, they can build up a good training plan with their coaches and go from there. So I think that was really important to have now a date for them to see the goal where they're working for again.
Well, thanks, Ina, and we've loved having Trek Segafredo along with us for over the past 3 days. Thanks for joining us. We're heading in towards the final 10 kilometres of the final stage here of the ŠKODA V Women's Tour. Leah Dixon, our overall leader, is defending her virtual leader's jersey perfectly, you would say, here at the moment. Inside 10 kilometres to go. We're about to click through there. Some really talented fast finishers within this group. Krista Dobell-Hickok from the Rally Cycling team, Bulls Dolmans, if you're familiar with the teams and the Women's Pro Peloton, some of the biggest teams, biggest name riders in the world that are racing virtually through the streets of London this evening. Back to our general classification leader, Leah Dixon. She's looking strong here, Joe.
Yeah, she is looking strong. So we're seeing her just sort of get in and out the saddle here, which is good, sort of varying her position. But she looks pretty in control. We're not seeing on her face a complete pain face, which is good. We've still got about 9.5 kilometres to go. We can't quite see her power up. Oh yeah, we can now. Top left of the screen there, sort of sitting around 350, 360 watts. So pretty high power up. But we were seeing her yesterday climbing at over 400 watts up that climb to Burton Dassett.
Dame Sarah Story was telling me yesterday that her sort of, as we would call it, normalised power. So again, my apologies to if you're new to cycling and some of the power and the jargon that we use. There's Alicia Maria Arzufi's power that's there as well. Dame Sarah Story was saying her power, for anyone that's familiar with it, was 298 watts for the entire stage yesterday, and she felt like she'd done basically 2 attempts at the hour record over the first 2 stages.
Yeah, that is an incredibly high average power for pretty much an hour-long race. And like you say, 2 days back-to-back, very, very similar to the sort of power output she was trying to produce back when she had the hour record attempt, which was possibly back in 2015 maybe, so a few years ago now. But yeah, huge power output for Sarah Story there. Over the past couple of days, Lizzie Banks also put some training data on her Instagram page, and we saw similarly huge numbers as well. So these riders are working very, very hard.
They are indeed. Joss Loudon was posting a little bit earlier on as well that she had about her virtual mechanical that she has. It does happen from time to time. As we head in towards the final 8 laps of today's race, it looks very much like a bit of a bunch sprint here, unless anyone has the extra power to try and get away over the course of these final laps. Leah Dixon again on the front of the group. Kristen Faulkner moves through. It does change quite quickly, doesn't it, Joe, in terms of trying to keep track of this leading group?
Yeah, it does change quite quickly. I think that's sort of a bit of what Chris Newton was saying earlier, that for the riders it is a steep learning curve, and that they're learning how best to use this platform, how best to race on this platform, move around riders, get themselves where they want to be, because it is different to real life, and it is new to most of the riders here. So I think we're all learning quite a lot very quickly, and that's been interesting each day, seeing different riders up there as they adapt to this style of racing.
Lauren Stevens on your screen. She was the rider really yesterday, wasn't she? The first time up the climb to Burton Dassett that really splintered the group under the pressure of her first attack.
Yeah, she was. So she looked incredibly strong up that climb. It was her that went away first, and it was her teammate Leah Dixon which closed the gap, and there was both of the riders from Team Tibco away for the rest of the stage, which was brilliant to see the 2 teammates together, both of them climbing extremely well. It'll be interesting whether they're able to sort of replicate any of that teamwork on this stage, which of course is completely different, and I think far more favouring the sprinters. But they do have Leah Dixon nicely at the top of the GC with a little bit of room to play with, so no need to panic by any means.
Not at all. Just looking around the group, Kathleen Holworth is also still in there. So next G, I've got plenty of representatives in this leading group. This is going to be the next thing, isn't it, Joe, as we go through and get used to virtual racing. You've seen Corinne Hall is the Story Racing rider in there. It's going to be interesting as we establish virtual racing to see if we start to get lead outs.
Yeah, exactly. I think that's an interesting one. I think Sarah Story said in one of her interviews that it is very difficult to work as a team on a virtual platform. But however, not impossible. And I think as riders get more used to these platforms, of course, lead outs are a crucial part of bike racing out on the road, and a lot of riders make their living out of being a really good lead out rider. So there's absolutely no reason why it can't play a part in this in that sense, but probably still a lot of learning to do to really make that happen effectively.
They are indeed. Rose Armelan on the front, Marissa Bax. So what though, Britt Knaven has not been far away from the front so far this evening. Next G are really throwing everything at this stage tonight. They're a very interesting team. It's great to see, isn't it, development teams as we go through that finish line there. The development teams, they're an under 23 UCI women's team, and it's great to see this sort of team now forming to develop the next generation of riders.
Yeah, definitely. I think it can be a big jump as a racer to go from the junior category to the elite women's category. We don't really have an established under 23 women's category in the same way that the men do. So I think for a lot of junior riders, having a team that is dedicated to under 23 development can be really important. And we've got a similar sort of setup in the GB squad as well. We've got two Great Britain teams here, the Great Britain team and the Breeze team as well. So it's nice to have development teams working hard to develop that under 23 sort of age group, and we don't have that same separate racing that men have.
We're going to go over and catch up with Stefan van Klink from the Biela Crush Pro Cycling team. Stefan, thanks for joining us. Gotta say, so impressed with the team so far this week. What's their reaction been after the stages? How have they found it?
Hello, Mark. Thank you. We're very happy with how everything's going. I think yesterday, we had some issues. It was not the best day, but the first day went really well with two riders in the first group. And also today, we're pretty satisfied with where we are at the moment. It's a small group, still two riders in there. So let's see how it plays out.
And in terms of team tactics coming in over the course, as we learn more about virtual racing, are they finding that they can start to put team tactics into play or maybe on more of the flatter stages like this?
Yeah, I gotta say, with the experience that we have on virtual racing, playing out good team tactics, it's pretty hard. But of course we try. We have two riders there, and we know that Marissa is a very good sprinter. So I'm sure the girls will try to work together to make it a good sprint finish today.
Oh, thanks for joining us, Stefan. We'll let you get back to watching the race. We're inside 5 kilometres to go here on the third and final stage here of the ŠKODA V Women's Tour. We are in Canary Wharf. It's a Friday night. We are in London. 35 laps of a 1 kilometre circuit. It's all setting up for the finish. Joe, we've talked quite a lot about Corinne Hall this week. Great track rider, great criterium rider, Story Racing. We're talking a lot about just how well Corinne was coming into this one. She could be a good bet. She had a good finish up at Burton Dassett yesterday as well, just outside the top 10.
Yeah, she did. So Corinne Hall, part of the Great Britain paracycling team, would have been training for the Paralympics this summer, of course postponed by a year now, but 2020 was going to be a huge year for her on the tandem, and it's great that she's been able to sort of transfer that form into the virtual world of racing, and we've seen her really get stuck into these races, and she is part of a strong team in Story Racing, and she's been up there each day really trying to sort of show herself, and I do think this sort of length of racing really suits her.
I'm just getting a message as well that we have got some lapped riders in this leading group, so we're we're going to try and we'll work out and try and pick them out of that leading group. So just getting a little bit of a message. So there's probably, we're being told, just 10 riders that are all on the same lap here. So we'll do our best to just pick them all out. The names that do pop up that are still within that leading group. Kristen Faulkner, we know, has been there from the start. Leah Dixon, Britt Carnarvon, Emma Norsgaard, all within that group. So we'll try and get you an update on just which riders with just over 3 kilometers to go are still on the same lap. But for me, Joe, I think that we've got to watch the likes of Marissa Bax here. She had a great opening sprint on the first day. We just heard from the director sportif there. But this Tibco team, Leah Dixon, could potentially, she want to try and take this one with potentially with a final burst of line, a finishing sprint and a stage win if she can.
Yeah, I think I'm probably going to go for Emma Norsgaard from Bigla Katusha. She's been up there in this group all day. I keep seeing it at the front of the group now as I say that. The Danish flag you can see on the left of the screen. So I think she's been riding well. We know she's a strong sprinter. So that's the rider I'm going to go for. Yeah, see what happens.
Okay. Right, so looking at the group and looking at how they are so far in this race, I'm gonna go with Marissa Bax. I think in this one, I'm gonna go with the Bela Crush rider. She's been looking good so far, and there she is, your leader of the general classification, Leah Dixon, at the top of your screen. You've got Kristen Faulkner second on the general classification, 22 seconds behind her teammate, and then Marissa Bax at the bottom, who has been really well placed throughout this race so far. So if you weren't with us on the opening day, it was Danny Christmas that took the stage there. Leah Dixon taking it yesterday, but 2 kilometres to go in towards the finish. Britt Carnarvon still well up there in this one. Got Christina Holworth is also up towards the front. Kathleen Holworth, my apology, from Next G. Those green jerseys from Bela Crush, very much to the front of the group. We've got the Great Britain jersey within this leading group as well. I think it's Anna Doherty that's still represented in this leading group for Great Britain. Kristen Faulkner on the front. Joe's pick for the day, Emma Norsgaard, just dropping back down through the group just a little bit. We're getting towards the final kilometre and a half here of stage 3 of the Virtual Women's Tour. And our sprinters lining themselves up now for the final lap and the final sprint. Joe Tindley comes up here from Cams Tifosi. So the power up for the final lap, the final kilometre of this one. Leah Dixon hits the front. That's a Great Britain jersey there towards the front as well. Jip van den Bos. Can't discount Jip van den Bos here either, Joe, from Bull Dolmans.
No, you can't. We've seen quite a few different riders at the head of this group today. As we go through a lap to go, definitely suited different riders here. So very much all to play for. Last 1,000 metres of racing now.
So there's a few riders here. Of course, in a criterium, we would normally have the lap riders normally get pulled out with a few laps to go. Lauren Stevens hits the front. Emma Norsgaard comes through. The Danish flag up towards the front. Britt Carnarvon moves into a good position. Kathleen Holworth is a good sprinter as well from Team Next G. 600 metres now in towards the finish. Lauren Stevens battling to hold her position at the front. Good to see the Drops jerseys within the front of this group as well. Britt Carnarvon manoeuvres her way through towards the front. Leah Dixon is defending that position at the front of the race. 400 metres to go now, swinging through the final virtual corners here on Canary Wharf. They charge the riders, winding up the power now for the final sprint. Faulkner comes through, but the jerseys, Holworth comes through, makes that move for Next G. Lauren Stevens is there. Now they're winding up for this finishing sprint. Lauren Stevens from Tibco Silicon Valley Bank. 100 metres to go up towards the line. Kathleen Holworth from Team Next G crosses the line and takes that a great final sprint there from Kathleen Holworth from Team Next G Racing. We've been talking about them all night. Lauren Stephen crosses the line in second. Kirsten Faulkner takes third. Leanne Ganser up there in fourth. Leah Dixon in fifth. Britt Carnarvon, Emma Norsgaard, Marissa Bax and Rose Hogeboom. That's your order across the line. Joe, what a great move there from Kathleen Holworth from Next G going clear.
That was a great move. So she just jumped just a little bit earlier, and you could easily think, oh, has she gone too early there? But she got a gap of about 10 metres. We could see on the left of the screen on that graphic that she had a sort of 10, 11 metre gap, and no one could close that. She timed her sprint to perfection, absolutely brilliantly. She's been up there all day. We've been talking about her team, perhaps been looking at her teammate Britt Carnarvon a little bit. But yeah, brilliantly timed sprint and taking a very well-deserved win.
There you can see all our riders. There's a few tired riders out there, isn't there? There's our winner, Kathleen Holworth. We said the 3 days of racing, virtual racing, just how tough it is, and finishing with a criterium. It was a really interesting race to watch, but so fast that no one could attack or get away.
Yeah, the action was mainly, unfortunately, riders going out the back of the group. I think there were a lot of sore legs out there on their turbos today. Obviously, third day of racing. And it was another brutal race. It was full gas from the start, constantly high power output. And then, of course, the accelerations out the corners making it even more difficult, even more challenging. So I think definitely if you've got tired legs, there was really no hiding in tonight's stage. But very well-deserved winner and still a brilliant race to watch unfold.
And you got to say, give full credit there to Leah Dixon, our general classification leader, with taking a hilltop finish yesterday, but she rode really well in defence of that jersey today.
She did ride really well, so we were constantly seeing her name at the head of the standings. We were constantly seeing that ŠKODA leaders jersey up the front of that group, which I think must be really difficult to do virtually, to keep yourself in a good position. But she really did that very well, and hugely well-deserved overall win there for the British rider, Leah Dixon of Team Tibco.
We're going to dive in and have a quick chat with Lauren Stevens. Lauren, a great finish there. Kathleen Holworth from Next G just got away just before the finish. Another second place today.
Yeah, keeping it consistent with second place 2 days in a row.
And in terms of, just take us through that, because the words that everyone's been using throughout this, a pretty brutal, savage racing. That looked so tough. Sum it up for us.
Yeah, on the virtual world, it's full gas the whole time. I mean, and we just wanted to keep Leah Dixon in the lead, and we were hoping to get the win today too, but we're super excited that we won the overall with Leah.
Well, great riding. Well done, Lauren. Thanks for joining us. It's been great to watch Team Tibco in action. We're going to hear from our winner now, Kathleen Holworth from Team Next G, Surveys Carnarvon, the team manager there, just getting set up. Hopefully, Kathleen, can you hear us okay? Kathleen, can you hear me okay, Kathleen? We'll just get it set up. As we said a little bit earlier on, we're pushing technology to its limit a little bit here. We'll just get Kathleen connected. Kathleen, it's Marty here. Can you hear me okay? Take us through that finish. You managed to just gap everyone on that final lap. That looked that's a great victory for you. So we're just trying to get connected to Kathleen. I'll go again. We'll come back to Kathleen momentarily. As we said, we are pushing the technology here. Everyone virtually around the world, all on their webcams and trying to get connected. Normally, one of us runs down the street and holds a microphone under them to interview them. That's you can see our top three there: Christina Holworth, Lauren Stevens, and Kristen Faulkner, Tibco Silicon Valley Bank. we're going to go and hear from Hugh Roberts, from the CEO of the Sweet Spot Group. Hugh, thanks for joining us. The races so far this year, you had to take the decision early on with cancelling the races this year, the Women's Tour and the Tour of Britain. But how is that looking for going forward for next year?
Yeah, well, all your viewers will know by now that we've had to postpone the races, the Tour Series, the Women's Tour and the Tour of Britain. And I'm pleased to say that because of the support we've had from all our stakeholders up and down the country, these are the governments and councils that back the race and host us. To a man, they've all been extremely cooperative and been working very closely with us to make the transition from moving the race from 2020 to 2021 extremely smooth and seamless. And actually, I think in 2021 we can look forward to even better races than perhaps we would have had in 2020, if I'm allowed to say that. So we wouldn't have had that without the support of our colleagues up and down the country.
And in terms of the virtual tour, how do you feel that's gone over the course of the last 3 days?
Well, I'm not really a digital sort of person, as most of my colleagues at Sweet Spot will testify. So I was a little bit skeptical about what the outcome was going to hold for us. But actually, I've been really impressed with the quality of the production. And so full marks to everybody involved, my colleagues at Sweet Spot, but also you and Joanna have done a great job bringing the whole thing to life, which is absolutely vital. And it must have been extremely difficult for you under the circumstances, not having really had much chance to test out your skills prior to going live. So full marks to you two and to everybody at RGT for putting on a fantastic show. And I think it's just the beginning of what could be a whole new era of virtual cycling, and who knows where it might take us all.
That's very kind of you. Thank you. And just finally, anyone that's been inspired to get on their bikes, have you got any exciting things coming up that they might be able to get involved with?
Well, I'm glad you mentioned that. I wouldn't be wearing this T-shirt if it wasn't for the fact that in 2 weeks' time I'm about to embark on the Great Tour, which is our circumnavigation of Britain, which we're doing again, having done it twice before, once in 2010 and in 2015. So this is very much a philanthropic-oriented ride, 64 days of continuous riding around the countryside, starting on July the 4th in the Isle of Wight. I hope perhaps Marty and maybe Joanna, if she's still there, might come and join us on one of the stages.
I'm still here.
Oh, good. So if you'd like to look up the Great Tour, you can find out where we're coming near you, and you're very welcome to join us. But this is all about our effort to try and say thank you to the National Health Service, the workers, the key workers, essential workers. And also I've got two friends of mine who are joining me. One of whom has got diabetes, type 1 diabetes, and his name's Robin Young, and he'll be joining me for the whole journey. And so he's going to be raising money and awareness for diabetes, which of course has a close association with cycling, as we all know. And also many of you will know that my work colleague and good friend Toby Lapper, he has a son who, bless him, is autistic. So we're going to be raising money for that charity as well. So look out for the Great Tour if you get a chance.
Well, thanks very much. I might take you up on that. Thanks, Hugh Roberts, for joining us. We'll let you go. Joanna, I've got to say, the last 3 days, it really has been different for us. We sat virtually apart from each other, commentating. Sum up the last 3 days for you.
I think the word brutal is probably the word to describe the racing. It has been brilliant to watch. I've really enjoyed seeing all the rider webcams and seeing those pain caves and seeing how hard everybody is working. And also brilliant to see how team strategy really nicely unfolded on stage 2. So I've really loved how realistic that climb was up to Burton Dassett. So brilliant racing and a very well-deserved winner overall, Leah Dixon.
Indeed. Let's have a look back at the finish, though, of our third and final stage here in Canary Wharf. But this leading group was really, as we said, the most of the action was just riders getting shredded off the back. But a great move, though, late on from Kathleen Holworth. Let's just talk through this finish. That's the moment that she went, Joe.
Yeah, she goes there, just over 200 metres to go, gets the jump on everyone else, brings out sort of 7, 8, 9, 10 metres, and as we come around this last corner, Lauren Stevens have just got a little bit too much of a gap to close. We saw over 12 watts per kilo there for our winner, so huge amount of power output, but timing it to perfection, which is absolutely key as well.
It was indeed great finish. You could just see everyone else just coming in towards the finish there. It's a great stage victory for Team Next G at the end. I think a lot of riders as well, you could see how much they've embraced the virtual racing here. We were talking a little bit with the team directors, and we've also just had announced that Leah Dixon is the general classification winner by 22 seconds, and I think we can hear from Leah Dixon now. Leah, you've got to be so delighted. Stage win and the winner of the first ever ŠKODA V Women's Tour.
Hi, yeah, it's amazing. I'm so pleased to have been able to finish her off. It did get super stressful there for a while. It was a really hard, tough race, but I'm so pleased that I managed to get the win from the team, and the team got another great result with second and third as well.
You were very much to the front the whole race there, though. How much was that trying to stay vigilant and make sure that you kept the power up to stay at the front of the group?
Yeah, I knew that it was going to be really kind of a really tough race, and it was really important to keep concentration. And I just felt that the best tactic for that was to be able to stay towards the front. When we got the bigger group with the lapped riders, it was hard to see who was who, so I just tried to stay around Lauren and Kristen, but that last 10k was really tough. I think I was at 190 beats a minute for a very long time.
And just finally, how much confidence does this give you getting back on the road?
Yeah, it's amazing. So for me, I'm pretty new to cycling, so it gives me a lot of confidence to know that I've kind of got that engine there to be able to kind of keep up with some of, my heroes, really.
You rode brilliantly, Leah. This is Jo here. So just wanted to say well done from me. Have you found it difficult to keep motivated at all during lockdown? And what are you looking forward to most for the rest of the season?
So for me, like I said, this is my first season as a pro cyclist. So I'm just super excited to get back to racing. And I've just kind of embraced this lockdown period to work on my weaknesses, get lots of training in. And the virtual racing has been a great way to kind of keep that intensity and also bond with my teammates.
Excellent. Thank you very much. You rode brilliantly. So it was a real pleasure to watch that.
Great job, Leah. Thank you. So we're going to have a look at the general classification. So there you have it. Leah Dixon from Team Tibco Silicon Valley Bank takes the ŠKODA V Women's Tour general classification ahead of her teammate Kristen Faulkner. Danny Christmas moves herself back up to third. Great riding from the young Brit, though. Eileen Gardner from the Cams Tifosi team finishes in fourth, just ahead of Emma Norsgaard Jorgensen. Lizzie Banks from Bigla Katusha finishes sixth. Lauren Stevens set to second place on stages is in seventh. Lizzie Holden drops to seventh. Great riding as well. We've been championing her for the last 3 days. Megan Dickinson from ŠKODA DSI Cycling Academy takes ninth, and Marissa Banks, another rider that we've talked about for Bela Crush Pro Cycling, rounds out the top 10. Joanna, it's your phrase. Who's been your power monster of the week?
Oh, good question. Probably been really impressed by Kristen Faulkner. So she's not won a stage, but she's been consistently up there for Team Tibco, and of course her teammate taking the win, Leah Dixon, but she's looked very much in control. It's her first year as a pro as well with Team Tibco, so really looking forward to seeing how she develops throughout the next couple of seasons.
For me, Megan Dickinson as well, and Eileen Gardner have been great to both watch them in action this week. We're going to hear from Kathleen Holworth. We've now got her from Team Next G. Let's go straight in there. Kathleen, thanks for joining us. Just take us through that finish. Great move coming into the final couple of 100 meters.
Yeah, well, thank you. I really enjoyed today, and I knew when we went into the last straight lane, I thought I just have to go and push through, and yeah, it's a real cool experience to ride this virtual race, and I'm happy that we could do it like this in the past days. So
it looked really tough out there. You're looking pretty fresh now, but was it as hard as it looked?
Yeah, it was definitely hard. It's because it's inside, it's super warm, and it's constantly pushing through, and I may look a bit fresh now, but I'm not feeling super fresh.
Well done, Kathleen. That was brilliant racing. You're part of an under-23 development squad. How have you found being part of that team, and what are you looking forward to going forward now?
Yeah, I'm super happy to be part of this team. We get full support, and we really focus on our development, which is super good for us because we have no big pressure from inside out, and we get a lot of chances, and everything is set up really great. And like today, the final stage, we are here at the sponsor place, so it's super cool how everything is combined here.
That's brilliant. Well done you, and well done to all of your team as well.
Thanks, Kathleen. We'll let you go. Yeah, great winner. It's great to see this under-23 team coming through. It's great to see a rider like that get a stage victory.
Yeah, it really was. So we've been talking about her team a little bit, and like I say, as an under-23 female rider, it can be a little bit of a gap in terms of your development, going straight from the junior ranks into elite women's racing against the likes of Annemiek van Vleuten, Anna van der Breggen, Marianne Vos in these elite women's pelotons. So it's brilliant that a team like that is developing those younger riders.
And that overall win for Leah Dixon. It's been great the last 3 days. I'm sure you've all enjoyed the knowledge that Joanna brings and the interpretation of especially of the power data. So big thanks to you, Joe, for that. Hopefully we'll all be on the road together really soon. I hope you've enjoyed the ŠKODA V Women's Tour as much as we have. We will see you all very soon. Stay safe, get out on your bikes. From Joanna Rouse and myself, Mike McDonald. We'll see you soon. Bye for now.